What is up, Bills fans? Thank you for joining us. This is Buffalo Fanatics Film Session Live, Week 8 edition. My name's Clay Troy. I'm your co-host, and over here is
Kendall Mursky, the other co-host. Hope everyone's doing pretty well after a weird Week 8 for us. Still get the dub. That's really what counts. But yeah, hope everyone's doing well. And those in the chat, let us know what you took away from this game, and hopefully we can either put those to rest, give those some encouragement. Whatever it is, we're happy to be talking about the Bills again.
Yeah, it's good to be back again after that bye week. A little bit of a week off, a little bit of a break, but It was good to see Bills football again back in action. I'm sure we were all suffering watching Hanson's Red Zone, seeing all the other games and wondering, what are the Bills doing right now? Yeah. But thank you for everyone that's joining us in the chat here. We got 16 people in here already. Harold Fuller, Sheldon Cole, Chris S., Matthew Ronkowski, Zach King as well in here, Scott Blakely, I see. So thank you guys for joining in and joining in the comment section. I did see one of these comments before I jumped in from Harold Fuller here. On the Dolphins long pass, second half, Rousseau got his helmet ripped off his head. How is that not a penalty? It was. It was hands to the face. It was like his hand was right up on the face mask and just kind of pushed it right off. It just didn't get called. Actually, that was kind of a common theme throughout that game. I think
I was just gonna bring that up. There were a lot of illegal use of the hands calls in that game, but that one didn't get called.
Yeah, so a super weird game because there were some penalties called where it was like, okay, yeah, sure, I could see why you'd call that. And then there were a lot of calls where it was like, pretty sure that should have been a penalty, but you just didn't call it. So I'd rather it be the latter where you just kind of let them play. Let them play a little bit of shoving and pushing. And then once those guys learn, hey, these refs aren't calling anything, we can play like this. That's really all we want. Trey White didn't get any holding calls. So that's good. I don't think he actually warranted it at any point.
No, he didn't.
So, it was good to see that, but were you able to watch the game live, this weekend or what?
No, I had a double shift on Sunday. No, so I had it in the background, so I knew what was going on. I was just as frustrated as everyone else with the first half, and then I just kind of put my head down and got to work for the second half, and so did the Bills, honestly. So it kind of worked out nice that way. And then I watched it really for the first time all the way through this morning and pulled my clips all this morning. So yeah, my first real watch of the game was today.
Yeah. And kind of what were your first impressions? I know for me, it was, like you said, it was a super slow first half. And it was kind of frustrating almost to a point where it was like, we just can't move the ball, and third downs were a huge problem for the offense in the first down and for the defense. Even we're giving up way too many third downs and not converting on any of ours. That was kind of the thing that popped out to me the most, at least at halftime. But what were kind of your first impressions as you were going through? And I know we're going to talk a little bit about some of that stuff going throughout here, but what kind of stuff did you see?
So for the first half specifically, since that's the one I watched most live, I was just so upset with the game plan. A lot of people have ripped into Dable for what he did in that game, and how we were so inefficient in the first half. And I don't want to rip on Dable or anything, but I just didn't really like what we were trying to do. It seemed like we were trying to do deep shots and run plays for the entire first half. And it's like, I'm okay with running the football. I know most of Bills Mafia really isn't. We want to be pass heavy. I'm okay with running the football a fair amount. But really what bothered me was how we definitely had a game plan set up for quick, short passing. And it worked a little bit in the first half, but we didn't stick with it. And then in the second half, there was that drive where we were just dinking and dunking to Cole Beasley, and everything was working fine. And then, furthermore, there's specifically, I don't know if anyone else noticed this, they kept leaking the running back out for swing routes, like a lot that game. That seemed like a clear game plan. Get Singletary and Moss out on the edge quickly on those swing routes, and they were open a lot. And Josh only hit them like 3 or 4 times. Not saying he has to hit them every single time, but it was clear that the flat areas were wide open against the Dolphins, and they clearly saw that when they were self-scouting themselves and watching the first game or whatever, because it was part of the game plan. Like, why else would they have Singletary and Moss leave pass protection that often? So I was just surprised that it took them so long to go to it. Right in the middle of the point. That was really the most frustrating part, though. Just kind of the inability to adjust when you know something's working. It's almost like they want to keep things up their sleeve. Almost, it's tough. It's tough to pinpoint.
Yeah. Chris asks, he said they played down to Miami's level until they woke up. I would kind of disagree to that to an extent. I think what they did is they thought we can go do whatever we want against Miami. Right. And then they realized halfway through the game, they're like, we cannot do whatever we want against Miami. We're actually going to have to strategize if differently. We're going to have to change up the strategy if we want to win this game. So it ended up resulting in us playing down to their level because we were doing something that we shouldn't have been doing. We weren't playing into what they were allowing us. We were just kind of doing what we thought we wanted to do, and it just wasn't working out. Right. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. I kind of got we're going to talk about kind of the tale of two halves in a little bit more detail, but when we go into some of those plays, we can talk about it. Yeah, so many screen passes, Harold Fuller. We'll talk about that as well, and that kind of played into what Miami was giving us. What were they allowing, and how is that going to work out for us? So, do you want to go first with your MVP here? You don't really have an LVP either, so you're kind of just two guys you want to talk about.
Yeah, I'm just kind of highlighting people at this point.
Yeah. Do you want to go first then with your guy?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. So I picked the obvious MVP, Ed Oliver. To those of you that haven't watched the All 22, I feel like most people would pick Ed Oliver as their MVP for this game. I mean, he popped multiple times, so much so that I believe Leslie Frazier gave him the game ball. Like, he played a really good game. So he's over here, lined up in the 3-tech 4-eye shade, somewhere around that area. And really, this is a first one just on run defense, which we've been showing a lot of him lately, which is a really great sign. We've talked about him multiple times, how he was brought in here to be a disruptive pass rusher from that interior spot, but he is flashing a lot this year in the run game. And you see how he just penetrates that B gap quickly and kind of keeps the center of his body clean and gets through that gap and just completely disrupts the play in the backfield. We'll get more to the pass stuff, but I mean, Clay, what are you seeing on this play, and what have you seen from him this year and the run fits?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a huge Ed Oliver fan this entire season. I think he's finally playing up to where Bills fans want him to play and have been wanting him to play his whole career. I think he's finally reaching that level. And run defense is definitely the thing I think he's thriving the most in, which is a little bit of a surprise. We kind of thought he was going to be more of a pass rusher, but he can absolutely dominate. And I think it's just because of the athleticism and the strength combined with each other. Yes. He doesn't have that length that a lot of these guys have that he's going against. Are a lot longer than him. So he stays lower. He uses his athleticism to get in that hole and sneak through. And I mean, his burst off the line too is second to none on the Bills. Maybe there's a couple of those ends can get off a little bit quicker here and there, but Ed Oliver, it's all just athleticism and grit. That's what else can you say about him except the dude is just absolutely on fire so far this season.
I will say Harold is spot on. I mean, Starr definitely has something to do with this. The fact that he's really showing up in the run game means, Starr is drawing more attention, and Ed is, finding himself in more one-on-one scenarios in the run game. And, he's good at taking advantage of those one-on-one scenarios, much like Starr is. But on this play, it's a lot of just athleticism. It's just beating your man. No one's really being double teamed here. It's just a zone flow to the left, and Oliver gets in front of the right tackle and makes the play. But yeah, generally I would agree with you, Harold. I think Starr is definitely helping.
Yeah, and Hughes and Starr both had great, good reps on this one as well. Starr just kind of keeps his man in front of him. Hughes on the outside there penetrates to force the cut back inside, right into Oliver's hands. So it's a good play all around. But Ed really is the one who's kind of the star of the show there, because coming from that inside spot and being able to make that tackle when that cutback is forced, that's what it's all about.
For sure. All right, we'll get on to this second play here from Ed. I believe it is a passing play. I covered my notes. All right, so he's going to line up here on the left side of your screen. Once again, 3-tech, 4-eye, right in that B gap as per usual for him. And this is just really persistence, that motor. He just goes straight up field. And I mean, he doesn't really have any resistance on this play. He was toying with 73 all game. All game he was driving him back into Tua. And on this play, obviously, 73 is a little bit preoccupied with Starr, and this is exactly where Harold's comment comes into play. You can see 73 look at Starr to the right, and then he loses track of Ed for a slight second in that athleticism you spoke about. I mean, he just blows right by him. And then by that point, I think the really nice part about this is you see Ed, the second he gets to the depth of the quarterback, he's not going to go past him, which is, you see Jerry Hughes doing it on the other side of the field where he consistently goes past the quarterback. You see Ed get to the depth of the quarterback and then spin right back into him. And he makes the play because of that relentless motor, that athleticism, the quickness, the quick twitch, all those, the football jargon. He's got all of it. He's really an outstanding player, and he's putting it all together this year.
Yeah, and credit to Frazier. I love this play design, and Sean McDermott too, I'm sure, is a part of that process. But I absolutely love this play design. You're overloading the left side of the line. You got Edmonds coming down A gap to take care of that guard. You got Starr there to take care of the center, and then you're sending two guys right at that left guard to try to overload him, and it works. I mean, I don't even think Milano needs to hit that gap, because I think Ed would have had it himself regardless. I mean, Milano's just kind of following the trail of where Ed's able to take that guard anyway. But even still, I really like that play design, because if Ed does end up getting taken by that blocker, then you've got Milano right there who's free with no one there. So really cool play design. And there was a lot of really cool blitz packages from both sides of the ball in this game, and this was one of them. But Ed Oliver, once again, just taking advantage of everything that's in front of him. And you can see even he's like juking around in there, kind of doing a little bit of a shuffle, showing off that athleticism.
All right, so getting on to the next play here. I believe this is another pass rep. Yep, see him over here again. Once again, 3-4-eye-ish technique. Once again against 73, and he just walks him back. Like, he doesn't really make a play of this. This isn't one where it's like Ed only had like, I think, 1 sack and a tackle for loss, something like that, a few hurries and stuff like that. But it was a lot of just beating his man one-on-one and creating disruption. It wasn't a whole lot of just like, oh, wow, he's stuffing the stat sheet. You can just see like this relentless motor, this getting into the backfield, this disrupting the play, all of it. It affects Tua, and you see Tua has to dump it off here. And then obviously the fullback over there makes a nice play out of it. But I mean, this is really what you want to see from a number one or a round one pick. You want to see him go up against these guys in one-on-one scenarios, people that aren't that great, below average starters in the league. You want to see him win these battles. And he wins this battle handily. And he did it a lot of the game. A lot of the time that he wasn't winning his battles clearly, it was stalemates against double teams. Like, Ed really flashed this game, and you can see the toughness and the tenacity fighting back towards the football to try and get to Tua. This is very similar to the last play where he gets to the depth of the quarterback and then spins back up into him. Very similar. But I mean, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Like, he's doing exactly what he needs to do, play in and play out. Just keep hitting the same moves until they know how to stop him.
Yeah, and I like this one too because it's a little more technical. I couldn't really see what his hands were doing on the last play, but on this one, he does a really good job of grabbing 73's left arm with his right hand, and then ripping underneath with his inside arm there to continue that power and just not allow 73 to get any amount of pushback on him at all, and really just keep his hands off him the whole time. So great hands there, and then it's hard to with a guy who's got that kind of power and that kind of leverage because he's lower, it's really tough when he just is keeping his hands off you the whole time. You can't get a grip on him.
I see you, Chris. Always coming in with the jokes. I was going to wear the glasses, but I didn't. All right. I put one bonus play in here. It's really quick. It's a pressure on a screen.
You put it in. I was wondering if you're going to put this one in.
It's really impressive. It's really impressive. Like, he's getting a pressure on a screenplay. This isn't something that typically happens. Like, this screenplay had a chance to develop for them. You can see Gaskin leak out to this side of your screen. And like it's happening, like it's developing. It's a little slow, but it can't do anything because Ed gets to him too quickly. I understand that, offensive linemen are kind of taught to let their guy through and then go block for the running back. But Ed is so athletic and so fast that he can get through that gap. Obviously, that's not the impressive part, but it's get to the quarterback so fast that he can't even make the screen pass. So I just had to toss this in there. I mean, Clay, if you got any additional thoughts, go for it.
I mean,
I figured it's just a quick one.
He's running the 40 right now. 3-point stance, you're up and you're going, and he is no hesitation, knows his assignment, which is really cool. I think Bruce Nolan might have been the one that tweeted this, but someone was like, Ed Oliver is very good. He's even better when you don't block him. So I thought that was pretty funny. And yeah, this play, I didn't know what had happened originally when I was watching this live. I was like, what happened with Ed there? He was flying through. So yeah, it's basically just like hey, you want to really show off your athleticism here? I just won't touch you at all.
Exactly. There you go. So had to include it. Not the most impressive technical play, but I mean, it shows his athleticism. Got to show it off when you can.
Right. All right, let's switch over to my MVP of the day, and that's Tre'Davious White for me. I didn't pick him originally. I had someone I was going to do either Poyer or Hyde. I was thinking Poyer, but as I was watching through the game, I was like, man, Tre'Davious just had such a good game. I don't think it wouldn't be doing him justice if we didn't include him in this one. So he was my MVP. And there's 3 plays that he did his job really well. There are a couple of times he made a few mistakes here, but pretty much all 3 of these plays are just like textbook pass defense. This first one here, and unfortunately I don't have any of the end zone angles because it didn't capture it at all. But the thing I like most about this one is he's dropping back with him. His hips go outside just like Waddle wants. What Waddle's trying to do is get Tre'Davious' hips facing out toward the sideline like that, so then he can cut back in. It's a perfect route really by Waddle. Maybe he wants to cut that a little bit in more. It looks like Tua put it right in the correct spot anyway. So maybe he's supposed to round it a little bit like that, but he does everything he's supposed to do. Tre'Davious has his hips out. His momentum's even looked like it's going that way. And the speed that he has to be able to flip his hips like that and continue on and defend that pass is just so impressive. This is not, he makes it look easy what he's doing right here, flipping his hips like that and going up and then playing the ball in the air as well to bat it down. That is really, really hard to do. We've seen many times guys like Diggs and Beasley and Sanders get their corners into that situation and they just burn them after that. They're so wide open after. So just his ability to be able to go out and do that is just so impressive.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. It's really the adjustment, the hip fluidity and the athleticism to recover after the play. He's not the fastest guy on the field. Like Trey is fast enough to play boundary corner in this league, but he is not a burner by any means. But you can see this recovery speed to get back to the catch point and ultimately make the play on the ball. But yeah, no, you hit it on the head. I mean, it's really an impressive play because Waddle set this up perfectly and he still recovered.
Yeah, and Tua doesn't really help out too much. The ball's not in a great placement. He kind of maybe if he puts it more to the inside though, then you've got to deal with Micah Hyde as well. So did he put it maybe in the only place he could have? Probably it was in that window at least, and he just doesn't have the ability to put much more zip on it. But yeah, it's still a really good play by Tre'Davious to even be able to be there and make that play on the ball.
Before you get on to your second play, Harold literally said something that we were talking about. He said, I know Wallace had at least one really good play. How did he look? We were talking about this before we got on, and we were saying how, like, first watch, we were kind of underwhelmed with Levi, especially in the first half. It felt like he was just getting burned by Devontae Parker. he had a sneaky good game. I mean,
Mhm.
the entire secondary and the entire defense had a very good game. Obviously, they were helped by, the Miami Dolphins offense, but they played really well. Like, there isn't really a person on this defense that had a bad game. And I mean, that's kind of why if I was going to pick LVP, it was going to be on offense, and you kind of took the LVP that I wanted anyway. So,
Yeah, and it's funny because really, I think either one of us could have picked Levi and talked about him. And I know
yeah,
that there was a couple plays, maybe one or two plays where you might say like he got beat there, or
yeah,
he didn't make the play that he could have made. But even I think that sideline catch that he gave up to Parker down the sideline, I
that was
still
a
think
nutty
that
ball.
was very well played by Levi Wallace. I don't think he could have played it much better. It was just a really good pass and a really good catch from
Yeah,
both of those guys. With perfect placement. Parker went up and got it. It's really hard to defend something like that. I think the
agreed.
position that he was in for it was fine, and he had a super solid game. I was very,
Yeah,
very impressed with Levi.
agreed.
Thank you for bringing that up because I would not have seen that. But yes, that is something that we wanted to mention about how Levi was playing really, really good as well. Play 2 for Tre'Davious here. And these next couple of plays are both kind of closing speed and instincts, and that's Trey's bread and butter here is dropping back. It's amazing what his eyes do and his recognition. Kind of you can see him processing things as the play goes on. And with this one, it's so simple. It's just my guy's going in on a quick slant. I know it's probably an RPO. I got to go, and he's right there. And as soon as the ball gets there, he's there as well, batting that ball away, hitting his guy hard, making it look cool. But yeah, just the closing speed and the reaction time is second to none, and those are really Tre'Davious White's specialties.
Yeah, you're right. It is his specialty. Playing in off coverage like this, reading the quarterback's eyes with the route in that line of sight, it's perfect for him to just break on the ball and, defend passes like this. This is why, like plays like this is why Levi talked about preseason, how he wants to get better at off coverage and
Mm-hmm.
how he excelled a lot in press coverage, obviously, despite his like frailish frame. But yeah, he did a lot of press coverage at Alabama, and since joining the Bills, he's been asked to do a lot more off coverage because of the zone style of our defense. And he's had to talk to Trey about a lot of it, just the little kind of nuances to how to better yourself into better positions for zone coverage and off coverage, all that stuff. This is one of those plays. It's just obviously Levi doesn't necessarily have this closing speed, but instincts can make up for the closing speed. If you're a step earlier for where you need to be, you don't need to have that closing speed. Trey's just kind of that jack of all trades where he's got both sides of it. He's got the instincts, he's got the closing speed, so it just kind of gets married together perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you could have put it any better. And yeah, with Levi, that's something you'll notice because when you see Trey make a play like that, it's like, damn, he got there fast. With
Yeah, he gets
Levi,
there quick.
sometimes it's like Trey would have gotten there. You could tell Trey would have gotten there a step quicker. But
yeah, Wallace's game is definitely predicated more on positioning than it is
yes,
the athleticism side of things.
yeah, but he makes it work too, and he did a good job in press coverage as well. Last play for him, and this one might be my favorite. Just because he breaks on the ball before he knows the ball is in the air. He knows the play before he sees the ball, which I think is the coolest part of this one. He's watching the quarterback for the snap. He looks at his man, and then the whole time after that, all he's doing is reading his man. And that means this to me says film study. And this is a guy who knows what the route concepts are, and he knows how those guys run routes. And that's a running back out there running the route. So it's not like someone that you're going to see out on the perimeter that often. And he can immediately tell by the footwork here, my guy's going inside and I need to go break on this ball. He didn't know the ball was in the air, which I think is just the coolest part of this, where it's like time to go. I know this route. I know this play. I'm going. And he almost gets a pick out of this one. This was a really, really close play.
You're absolutely right. This is definitely film study. I mean, why else would you break on a route that quickly like that? I mean, I'm sure seeing the running back out in that area probably tips off to you, okay, formation, personnel, it's probably going to be this or this. And then once you see the footwork, like you were saying, and then he just runs the route for him like that.
Yeah.
That's picture perfect. The recognition there. And I mean, it's the reason I think it's got to be film study is the fact that he's so confident to leave his zone. He's so like, I don't know, actually, is this Oh, this is cover one. So it doesn't even matter.
Yes.
He's manned up on him. But either way, like it's just a great play. Yeah, he's running his route for him. You see him get hype after the play, and yeah, it's just that closing speed. He knows where to be and he knows how to get there quickly. He's got both sides of it.
Yeah, and another thing is he's committing really hard. He's committing right here. If the ball's not in the air right here, and that's a double move, he's screwed.
Oh, he's done.
So to have the confidence to go and get that, and I like the way he played the ball too. He kind of went through the receiver to the ball, which is legal. He has just as much right to the ball as that receiver does. So the way that he decided to go play the ball instead of the receiver is the reason why this is not a pass interference. I think this is actually a good call from the refs here. It's a little bit of contact, but I think it's fair.
Would have been a really ballsy play call from Miami's offensive coordinator to ask their running back to run a sluggo, but I mean, who knows?
Hey, maybe someone else will see it and want to do it. That's got a little bit more of an athletic running back. So
seriously.
But that's okay, because I'm sure Trey will be able to study film and know when that guy's really doing that route.
All right, we'll move on to my next one, but I have to address this because Richard is right. I probably should have picked Butler. I watched him on a few, there were a few plays where I was watching the defense, and I was specifically watching the defensive line because I was looking for Ed Oliver. And on the plays that he wasn't in, Vernon Butler was. So I was trying to watch Vernon just to see what was happening. Obviously, the trade deadline had passed by this morning, so it didn't really matter for that purpose. I wanted to see if he had like a good audition for trades, but he's just mediocre. There's nothing more to his game other than, he's a big body in the middle, high draft pick. There's not much more to his pedigree. Other than those kind of things. He doesn't have much of a resume. Yeah, and
it's a luxury that our number 4 defensive tackle is a guy that we're complaining about. You go back, 6 years, we're complaining about half the team. So it's okay. I still don't want him on the field as much. I'd rather we get those young guys active and get him on the field, specifically Boogie Basham. I want to see him on the field more. And I know that he's not the same kind of guy as Butler. He's not going to be able to play the position same, neither with Obata, but those guys can shift inside. And I think maybe I at least want to see what they can do. But yeah, D tackle and interior offensive line are the 2 positions I really want the Bills to go for in the offseason, because those are really the only weaknesses, except for punter as well. I really miss Boho.
Did you see my tweet?
I'm sad. I did not see it. No.
I was charting Cincinnati, Tulane, and Tulane's punter is legit.
Oh, yes. It was that the guy that hit like a 70-yarder?
I think that's San Diego State.
Oh, that is the guy. That
Ryan was talking to me. He immediately responded with, check out this guy from San Diego State. And I'm like, look, if he can hit 70 yards consistently, I'll take him. But we saw the inconsistency with Boho's. I kind of want the consistency.
In his first year, though, Boho was pretty inconsistent the first year. Second year,
he also didn't have a sample size in the second year. That's the thing.
Yeah,
the sample size went down. So theoretically, the consistency should go up with less chances. I don't know. We don't need to talk so much about punter. Let me talk about my next guy. All right. So I want to talk about Taron Johnson. He didn't play like a flashy game, but he did his 111th, which he always freaking does. This dude is always doing what's asked of him. These plays aren't going to be flashy. I'm sorry if people get bored by these, but he deserves to be talked about because he is an integral part of this defense. He is our 3rd linebacker. He is our 3rd cornerback. He does both jobs in one, and he's so good at it. So I'll start with this one, and he's lined up right here. You see him. Let me get back to even. He's just a little bit inside shade of that slot receiver. And this is a run play that actually goes to the outside of the left tackle. And he fills the gap perfectly, and he's right there. And just depth of tackle, this is what you want to see. You don't see slot corners getting depth of tackles at or near the line of scrimmage. That's not common. But his instincts and his physicality allows him to make these kind of plays, and he makes them a lot. I put a 4th play in for him as well, and you'll see it's another one like him playing like a linebacker, but he's a slot corner. It's really crazy. I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but you probably should have. his rookie season, he played like a linebacker, but now I'm using this term again, he's marrying it with coverage ability, and it's really great to see.
Yeah.
He's really finally marrying that physicality and the run support with great disciplined pass coverage, and he's turning into a great slot cornerback.
Yeah, I agree. And this one, I don't know if it's hard to tell if this is like a designed thing for him to go inside because he's kind of shuffling pre-snap. So maybe he just kind of knows what play's coming. I don't know, but
maybe he is he is shuffling, like you said, inside, and he starts with inside leverage. It could be, I mean, based on what Hyde does, it looks like he's going off script because I would assume if he's blitzing,
that's
that
what I'm
means
thinking.
Hyde is going to take the slot wide
And
receiver here.
huge,
and that doesn't happen. Hyde's first step is back.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, both of the linebackers are also going in. I don't know if Tremaine also just kind of knew what this play was or not, but he was through the line of scrimmage, and he would be the linebacker that would need to be covering Parker in that situation if this was an RPO or something like that. So I'm assuming it was run all the way, and Taron knew that because he was flying in there. And it's a really good play.
All right, let's get to the second one here. I want to say it's pass coverage, but I could be lying. No, it's pass coverage. So this is a 3rd and 7, I believe. And really, this is all about discipline. You see him drop back into his zone here. It's a cover 4. So he's just kind of responsible for this big area over here. And he just kind of stays in the middle of the field because nothing's threatening him down here by this NFL logo. So he's staying in the middle. Then he sees this running back leak out. He comes out a little bit, takes that throw away from Tua as he's scrambling. And then once the scramble is really committed, he's there and he stops him short of the line to gain. So I just really liked how, I mean, this might feel like a boring play, but I like how disciplined he was throughout the entire play. It was just, there were multiple phases to his responsibilities on this play, and he checked every single box.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very good play. It's not something that I would have even thought of. I'm like, damn, that was a good play. But really, he's taken away those options that would be there for as Tua's rolling out. Now, of course, Tua's rolling kind of across. He'd have to be thrown across his body as if a right-handed guy was rolling out to his left. So it does make it a lot tougher here. But for him to be able to stay in that zone and just make sure, because there is a guy right there at the sticks. So he just wanted to make sure that wasn't getting tossed out at the last second before he decided to go and try and make the tackle. So yeah, this is a really good play.
I can't believe Gesicki didn't flow with him further, though. I think that's because, like, seriously, this puts Taron in absolute danger if he keeps running across this 40-yard line, because then Taron's responsible for whoever this running back is and Gesicki falling behind him. So, I mean, honestly, I'd put a lot of that on Gesicki to not,
Gesicki too. He kind of also, he'd be running kind of into Poyer's zone as well. Poyer's kind of doing an under-over kind of a coverage here. There's a guy over top. He knows he's got Micah, I think. So he comes all the way from the other side of the field. So he knows he's got Micah over top. And then that's not.
I think this is Micah and this is Poyer.
That's Poyer is not who I thought that was. I think that's Levi, actually. That's doing that kind of under over who Gesicki would be running into the coverage of a little bit. So, but yeah, it's definitely one of those plays where it's what he needed to do. It might not look like it's like, why aren't you going and tackling the guy? He was there for a reason.
Yeah. All right, let me get to this last play here. Actually, I guess I have 2 plays. So this one, he's lined up in the slot against Waddle, and I really wanted to highlight this play specifically just because he was asked to do so much against the slot receivers for Miami. He was lined up against Waddle a lot in the slot. He was lined up against Gesicki a lot in the slot, and it really speaks to the versatility that he has. Obviously, I talked about how he's our 3rd linebacker, he's our 3rd corner, but do we really even need a big nickel? Because if he's taking away people like Gesicki, I mean, I don't really know what else you want him to do. I understand there are going to be tight ends that beat him because they have size, but Taron did a good job using his physicality against people like Gesicki in this game. And then he also did a great job using his athleticism against people like Waddle. So on this play, you see that Hyde is responsible for the deep safety role on this play, kind of drop into a cover 2 shell. And I think this is cover 2 man. And Poyer's over here, but Hyde's up here. So Taron knows he can let Waddle past him because he has safety help, and he immediately sticks to him and gets into trail technique. but he presses him off the bat just kind of to disrupt the route as much as he can. He lets him by a little cleaner than I would have liked, but he's right there in phase and trail technique. Yes, the ball probably could have gone to him, but it's definitely a safer throw to throw behind that route and get this dig over here because Poyer is crashing in on this route right here. So I just really like the awareness, the spatial awareness of, where your guys are around you and how to kind of let routes run into your safeties and then stay underneath them. It's a subtly good job in coverage.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, you say he could have gone to him, but Poyer was there. It's very similar to Poyer's actual interception that he got later on in the game.
It is.
He was kind of sitting in that zone over there, just kind of baiting Tua to throw it to that spot, and he did, and he got him. So, yeah, this is really good. I personally like trail when you get into a trail technique like that. Levi is getting better at it at identifying where the ball is going to be, but I think it's better most times, especially when you're not really a great. He's getting better. Taron's getting a lot better in man coverage, but he's not a guy that can cover anybody in man coverage.
Right.
So I like the technique. He stays right in his hip pocket, and yeah, just stays with him the whole time. As there's good coverage. He made another really nice play too. Do you have another play for him or not?
I couldn't find it. I watched it first, and I was like, "Where is this play?" And I lost it. Is it the one pass defense that he has?
Yeah, it was like a 5 to 7 yard out route that he
somewhere
defended
on
really
this
well.
side, somewhere on this area of the field. I couldn't find it, dude. I swear I watched the game like 3 times trying to find it, and I couldn't find it.
Well, I mean, the Game Pass, format is just so good.
It's so great that
hard
it helps
to believe
me out.
you couldn't have found that play.
Find it.
But
yeah, it was this. So it was this play and that play that you just mentioned, where I was going back through every single Bills defensive play to try and find these 2 plays, just so I could include the first one. Sorry, I couldn't get the pass defense. I want to find it, but I couldn't find it. Anyways, third linebacker. I showed you how he's the third cornerback. Third linebacker. Watch him shoot the gap here. This is incredible. He doesn't make the play. I understand. He probably should have made this tackle. He kind of committed to the diving tackle a bit too soon. He probably could have wrapped him up a little bit better. But this is really good. He reads the blocking scheme. He sees the gap that he has to fill, and he gets right through it. Honestly, it turned into a 5-yard gain, which kind of sucks. But, I mean, the instincts. This is really something that not all players have, and it's just great to have a player that's doing it, especially in the tight spaces that a slot corner has to work with, in the slot in coverage. And then if you have to reduce down into the box like this and make plays like this, it's just great to see his versatility.
Yeah, I think this is one of the things that I like the most about him is his ability to play downhill like this. He's just so good at it. And this is really the kind of thing you were mentioning is even since his rookie year, he's been a guy that likes to come up and hit people. And that's probably why McDermott loved him so much. And then they said, well, we're going to teach him how to cover. And I did not have a lot of faith in Taron Johnson. I liked the way he played downhill. I liked the way he hit, but I didn't like him in coverage.
Same.
Until after that Titans game last season, he has just been on an upward trajectory for his coverage, and he's really proven me wrong, which I like.
Love eating words when it comes to bashing on Bills players. That's
exactly
definitely for sure.
Exactly.
All right, we can get to your next player now.
All right, my next guy, I do have an LVP. Surprise, it's John Feliciano. He had a bad game, but this is not the worst game that he's had for the Bills so far this season, which is good news. He definitely did still have some head scratcher plays where it's like, man, you can't do that. Really, what I think the reason that he looked as bad, and there's the same with Ike Bucker too, who I think struggled at times. I did sign the apology form, Chris. Yes, so. I formally apologize to Taron Johnson for not believing in him. I was focusing too much on his bad plays, not enough on his good plays. So my apologies. So yeah, he really didn't have a terrible game. There were definitely this first one here is a key play that he missed on. And this was that run to the outside, which I hate the call. I don't like the call at all. I get, this is what teams do in third and short situations. It's 3rd and 1. But it's not what we do. This isn't what we specialize in. And then also you're running to the direction of a guy who just switched over to play the right side at the right guard position, and a guy who was playing right guard and got switched out to right tackle. So these are both guys, and this is still in the first quarter at this point. These are both guys that are, still kind of getting their footing at these positions that they've just switched back to. And then you say 3rd and 1, we're going to run it behind you guys. And generally, I like Feliciano's run blocking, but this was just one of those plays where he just kind of got blown backward and really created, allowed the penetration for those defenders to get in there and get to Moss before even, why can I not think of Gilliam can't even get through the hole himself to create a block. So it's one of those plays where he just lost from a physicality standpoint right from the get-go.
I got to be honest. I hated when this happened just because I see 76 laying on the ground and we can't even pick up a 3rd and 1 with our supposed power back. But like, I can't sit here and blame Zach Moss. Like when your right guard gets blown back by like that, it's just, you're at a loss. And I got to say, like, I don't dislike the play call because like you said, like this is what teams do. Like can you pause when you get back to the start of the end zone, Cam?
Yeah. Oh, there.
So everyone is within the tackles. All 4 down men for the Dolphins are within the tackles. So this tells you I probably shouldn't do a QB sneak. I mean, you could, because obviously we know Josh, yes, he didn't convert that one against the Titans, but he can. Like QB sneaks work. You probably shouldn't do a fullback dive. But if you go stretch zone to the outside, there's an opening, and you can see it between Sweeney and Feliciano because you can, like, there's no one in front of Darrell Williams and Tommy Sweeney. There's a massive gap there. But because Feliciano can't get around that reach block and the play is just blown up. I personally, like I said, I don't have a problem with the play call itself. I wish they flipped the formation. I wish it went to the left. I know that's the short side of the field. I don't really care about that. I understand, like, yes, the larger, wider side of the field, you have more chance for Moss to rip it around the edge and maybe even get a touchdown because that can happen on 3rd and short plays. But it's bothering me with the sample that we have with Feliciano. Like, let's just trust the guys we should trust and just let's flow to the left because I don't know. Williams and Feliciano have been my bugaboos all year. Like, I understand that Williams has been playing a little bit better at guard, but I still don't even like him at guard. I think we got big problems on the right side of our offensive line. And like you said, Bucker definitely had some poor-ish plays. He definitely didn't play a great game, but he was serviceable. He didn't make any bad, big mistakes.
Yeah, don't look at him on this play, by the way.
He didn't make any big mistakes though. Like, yes, I understand that's not good, but he got in front of his guy and his guy fell too. So
it didn't affect the play. What he did not affect the play at all.
But it doesn't look good. It doesn't look great.
I
mean, we got things to do on the offensive line and we didn't do them at the trade deadline. So we just got to work with what we got.
Yeah, I think it is kind of interesting that they decided to ride with their horses on that offensive line. We're stuck with him now. So now we got to go out and we got to win, as best we can. If Feliciano keeps playing bad, try Ford. Ford keeps playing bad, try Bucker. Rotate him as much as you need to. Williams back in there. If we can, if Brown is sturdy enough at the right tackle position, which at times he was, at times he wasn't. I think he's going to be kind of hit and miss like that this season until he really kind of learns the technique that he needs to do before he's a really solid starter, which I think he can get to. But
yeah, I think we're both in that boat with Brown. Honestly, I'm hoping they kind of keep him out a little bit. I like his future. I don't want to risk anything too big.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't think it's necessary to especially with an injury like a back injury. It's not something you want to mess around with. But yeah, this one kind of hurts. And then I don't think they went for it after this, did they?
Nope. I'm pretty sure they punted it. I don't think this was the 19-yard punt either, but I'm pretty sure they punted it.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was either. Anyway, moving on. John Feliciano played 2. He just gets bullied. I'm not gonna harp on it too much. We know how John Feliciano's been playing. This was his ugliest play of the day. If it makes anyone feel any better, because as I was going through, I was kind of like, well, that play. I was like, well, that play wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. I don't want to put that in. So
we're giving him such a low bar to clear, like consistently. It's like, oh, he didn't do bad.
Good. Yeah, I know. He did have some good plays too. It's not like I'm gonna write the guy off as like his terrible lineman. He's him being our weakest link. I'm very happy about it. Because it could be a lot worse. But yeah, against this defense, the way that they were running their blitz packages, which were very creative, very well thought out. I was actually very impressed with what they were doing. But yeah, this is against Jalen Phillips as well. That's a young buck there, big and strong, and he says, "Yeah, I'm going to put you down onto your knee and then down onto your back."
Like, what is the footwork there? Like, what's going on here?
I don't know.
His left foot just like never was alive on.
It might be that first juke inside. I'll slow it down.
Did he trip on Morse's right foot? Like,
I don't think he did. I think it's just that little jab. There's maybe a little bit of a touch there, but I'm not going to give him. I don't know about that.
Like, you shouldn't fall over because of that, right?
Yeah,
like, I don't know.
Once again, it doesn't really affect the play. Josh would have maybe had a little bit more time to look for some other options. Because Devin Singletary does. Oh my God. How did 45 stay on his feet? Sorry, I didn't see that until just now. But Singletary made a pretty good block. It didn't really affect the play, Feliciano, but I think that little jab step just got him off balance. And as soon as that happened, Jalen Phillips was like, yeah, we're going down. But yeah, luckily, like I said, kind of got away with one there. Anyway, let's move on to the last play here. This one did affect the play, and it's just he gets power rushed all the way back into Josh, and then that guy's able to go and get his hand and make a play on the ball here. Really, it's kind of like it's only a slight resistance for 91 as he's going through. It's not like it doesn't look like he's that difficult of a pass rush, and Josh is getting the ball away fairly quickly. He does one pump and then it's out. But yeah, the fact that he's so close that he just really closed that gap and closed the window for Josh is what affected the play. Maybe if he's an extra yard away, that window is slightly bigger for Josh to throw to or throw around. But when he's right there in front of you and his arm is in your face, it's pretty hard to get it around him.
I know we've spoken about it before this season, and I've talked about how Feliciano talked about how he shed weight and he wanted to get a bit more agile.
Yeah.
Do you remember him like not being able to anchor as much as we're seeing it this year? I feel like he was much better with his like anchor and sustain of blocks than this year. I just feel like it's really a lot worse this year than it was last year.
I don't know. He definitely had an issue with it last year, and like I'm definitely thinking way too much of the Chiefs game that he just got dominated by Chris Jones.
And that's why he lost the weight in the first place, because he wanted to deal with Chris Jones. But like that's
he couldn't anchor against Chris Jones last year anyway.
Exactly.
So I don't get it. I don't know. I hope he can figure it out, man. Because as far as a locker room guy, he's fantastic. Josh has a great relationship with him. The guys like him, so I would love for him to be able to be like a solid starter that we don't have to complain about this much. But it is what it is, and he's the guy we're gonna have to deal with, because I don't think the coaching staff wants to take him out for whatever reason. So which I don't get, by the way. I don't understand why whenever Feliciano's healthy, he's in the game. I don't think it needs to be that way. You can try Bucker and Ford. Or you can try Bucker and Williams when Brown's at tackle. It's not the end of the world if John Feliciano is sitting on the bench healthy. But for some reason, the coaching staff feels that way.
Yeah, I'm same boat with you. I want to see Bucker and Ford. I want to see that by the end of the year. I want to see Bucker, Ford, and then Brown at right tackle. It wouldn't make a lot of sense, honestly, to do it in a Super Bowl window. Those are younger guys. You might as well give the vets the starts. But
right.
I also am at a loss of words when it comes to sticking with your guys and riding with the horses you got. It's just, I don't know. At a certain point, there's got to be a tipping point, and I feel like we've gotten there, but apparently we haven't. The coaching staff doesn't feel the same way. They're going to ride with him. Anthony, I see you saying that Ford is even worse. He's definitely not great, but like
I
at
don't
least
know
there's
if he's worse.
potential to tap into. Like
Yeah.
he might be worse right now, but I feel like there's more upside. And I
I
know
think
you
he's
probably shouldn't play
stronger.
with. I think he's stronger too, but I understand you probably shouldn't play with upside in your Super Bowl window. But like you
Yeah.
can extend that Super Bowl window if you reach that upside. I
Right.
don't know. There's a lot that goes into it. I personally want to see more. There's other options. I would like to see them, and if they're worse, we can immediately go back.
Yeah. That's the thing is you try a guy out for a game. They don't like Ford. I don't think Ford played bad when he was out there
I didn't think so
earlier
either.
in the year. So I don't know. I think it'll be interesting because Feliciano's hurt this week, is he not?
Yeah, he is. I think it's
So
like 2 to 3 weeks or something like that.
yeah, so we might end up seeing Ford Bucker anyway, because if Spencer Brown's not playing, those are our guys that are going to be out there. So
Yeah, I'd like to see
it
that,
could
especially
happen.
against the Jags. It's a good like proper measuring stick for guys we don't think are starters in this league. If
Right.
they can't do it against the Jags, who are they
Yeah.
going to do it against?
Yeah.
So I don't know. All right, we'll get to my next guy. Try to talk a little bit more positively for the rest of the show. Talking about Greg Rousseau, I figured 8 weeks in, I'll do a little rookie checkpoint, and he flashed a little bit. He wasn't like a crazy contributor for this game, but he had a couple of pressures and he had a run stop right here at the beginning. I'll get to the sideline view because it's a really good angle to see his depth against this tight end and his use of the long arm. But you can see he works inside. I don't love how much he works inside, but it seems like where Milano is filling, it seems like it was all part of the plan anyways. I don't know if Milano's reading where Rousseau goes, and then he's like, okay, I got to fill this outside gap. But I mean, I like how Rousseau crashed onto the run gap and made the play right here once it switches over. So you can see him working against this tight end, and you see this long arm, just the leverage. You see him low base, getting up and through the pads, and he's right there in the run lane. It's a great play, and you need to be able to do this if you're a defensive end. If you're lined up against tight ends, you need to win that one-on-one because you can't get beaten by a tight end. That just can't happen unless it's like George Kittle or something. But even then, like you should still be beating tight ends more than 50% of the time, and he does it.
Yeah, and this we've seen him do this on a consistent basis now at this point where he's able to get that arm up into that shoulder pad area and just press these guys off of him and keep them off him with the long arm. And when we say long arm, we mean it. The dude's long. So it's I think it's been the most surprising to me about how well he's been able to do in run defense, just because he's able to just kind of stalemate the block. If nothing else, he's just kind of saying, I'm going to hold you right here and we're not going anywhere until the running back is past us. And that's what he does in this situation.
It's a great point. All of his losses are really just ties.
Yeah.
He really, I haven't seen a lot of like sheer him losing reps yet this year. There's a lot of just, oh, he could be better. But not a lot of like, you just lost that rep.
Yeah.
So that's definitely encouraging. All right. So next play here, we get him on pass rush, and it's nice pressure here. It's tough because, yes, we want the sack here, but I don't know if you guys saw the graphic on the broadcast, but I'm pretty sure Tua is the 5th fastest quarterback in snap to throw time. So, I mean, I don't think we should expect to get a whole ton of sacks against an RPO offense that has quick passing, and it's just not a recipe that makes for sacks. So it's not a big expectation, but to see Rousseau get that pressure so quickly, that's the encouraging part to this, because like I just alluded to, a sack is what you want. It's not the expectation against the offense you're going against. So yeah, it's a really nice play. You see him run the arc there, use that long arm, once again, keep his body clean, and he gets around the edge pretty nicely. Like, he doesn't have bend per se, but he can get like lower. It's a very unique type of bend that he does around the edge, because it's long and then he gets low and then he just kind of dives. It's very unique.
It's almost like a mix of like
him.
Power and bend. It's like a weird combination of the two.
It's very weird, but it works for him.
Yeah, and once again, hand placement is something we were so worried about coming out of college. But look at his hands here. It's so good. Right hand on the inside shoulder pad, left hand grabbing the other hand.
The outside
It
arm.
doesn't
Yep.
get much better than that. His hands are so good on this, and that's why he wins the reps so fast, because he's like, I've got control right here, and I've got your other arm here, so you can't even touch me, and I'm going to take you to the quarterback. So it's a really good rep. His ability to learn what to do with his hands so quickly has been probably, I said the running game thing was impressive. The use of his hands, I think, has been the biggest improvement for him so far.
For sure.
At the NFL level here.
Yeah, we were definitely worried about his technical ability because we knew the physical traits were there, and he's putting them together. He's putting them all together in 1 year.
This is a funny one I want to bring up. He draws so many non-holding calls. Yeah, I feel like he's always getting held, and it's never called. And I have no idea why that is.
Yeah, maybe it's a rookie thing.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's just like, you're big. They can hold you. They gotta hold you, dude. They can't stop you.
So, anyways, speaking of hand placement and hand fighting, you're gonna love this. This is just picture perfect. It's once again just he gets that right arm where you want it, and then you see his left arm getting to the outside arm of 77, pushing it up, keeping his body clean, gets the hit, hurry. I think he might get the knockdown there too. It's a great play from Rousseau. It's once again showing that technical ability married with the physical traits. He's putting it together, man. He's going to find the field more and more as the season progresses if he keeps doing things like this. But the thing that we probably have to remind people of is this is the Dolphins offensive line, and they probably have a worse offensive line than we do. So we should probably take it with a bit of a grain of salt. But you still want to see a rookie winning battles he's supposed to win, and he did that in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, once again, just grabbing that outside hand there of the offensive lineman and just kind of holding it, pushing it up. I mean, like, you're not going to touch me with that one. And that allows him to kind of swing him open like a gate. And just be like, we're going back with this one because you've got no power over there, and I'm gonna take you right back. So he's a strong dude. I'm just really excited for what the future holds for him, because I think he's got all the potential in the world. He's 20 years old, and he's doing stuff like this already after not knowing it when the last time we saw him on the field. It's just really, really impressive.
Also, Levi on the back end here.
This is one of the good Levi defend. This is probably my favorite Levi defended ball here, because it's really just a one-on-one.
He's alone.
Yeah, exactly. He's on an island alone with Parker there, and he goes up and makes the play.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to your stuff. Yeah, that is it. Get this off the screen. Thank you.
Okay, so what I wanted to go over for my third part was kind of talking about the tale of two halves with that offense and what they were doing and why they were doing it. And it's really hard for me to do in a short amount of plays, but I try to do 4 plays, and we'll talk about it a little bit more because I know we mentioned screen passes. We were doing a bunch of those and how ineffective the run game was. So the first play here, I want to talk about it because this is kind of what you alluded to earlier as well, where you said it felt like the Bills were trying to go deep with the football and run it. So they were trying to run the ball or go deep, and it was pretty much no in between. They threw some screen passes in the first half as well. But it looked a lot like this, where it's we're going to send that guy deep. And this is second, 7 right here. So I don't hate the decision to throw the deep ball here, especially it's early in the game still. First quarter, you're driving down the field. You want to kind of put the dagger in early. I get it. I don't have a problem with Josh throwing this ball, if we're honest, especially since it is a very well thrown ball.
Yeah,
it's just also very well defended by a highly paid corner. So, everyone's doing their job here essentially. But the one thing that I will say is, because it's not working, you have to make sure that you change and do the things that can work, which is what the Bills did in this. But the reason I say that is because they're sending the guy deep. It's a streak with an out underneath it, and the out's wide open. He's got no one near him, and Josh should have seen that right from the get-go. You should absolutely 100%. I don't really care if you think that deep shot is open. First of all, it doesn't look like it's open right here, because that's like I said, a very highly paid corner, a very good corner who's got a 4-yard head start on Emmanuel Sanders, who's 34, or you've got Cole Beasley with no one within 7 yards of him. So to me, I mean, I feel like the choice is obvious. He decides to go. He doesn't have a lot of time to think about it. First of all, he's kind of got pressure in his face. credit that to, the play call on the defensive side, because they forced a one-on-one block with Devin Singletary, and that's just not going to happen. So good call defensively. I think you got to go to Beasley here. Even still, I mean, what you got going on either way. This is probably an option on the top with Diggs. They're running a cover 2, so he drops back. Or maybe, I don't even know.
I can't tell. I think they're all just reading Allen's eyes, and he's stuck
no one
on
is
the
really
left side
doing
of the field.
anything. yeah. But reading the eyes. It kind of seems like the corners are just supposed to drop though, and do like a weird cover 2 where it's just it's
like
corners.
A cover 2 invert.
Yeah, none of the safeties are really going back at all. So I think they're kind of letting the corners play deep there, which is when your corners are your best defensive backs. Why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, you also have Diggs on the option route with a huge cushion, and he's just hanging out right at the first down marker. At the same time Allen's throwing the ball. So I get that maybe he had to choose a side that he wanted to look at. He chose the one with 2 routes. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But he threw to the wrong guy. And like I said, he's taking a shot. That's okay. I would prefer that he just throws the ball to Beasley on this play to begin with. But there were adjustments that were made, and it ended up being okay in the end. So hard to get too mad about it, but it was one of those things where yards are left on the field here, and Beasley can make, if Beasley makes one guy miss and it's a 15-yard gain. So it's tough.
Yeah, it's definitely the problem, because it's a continued trend where we kind of see some stubbornness from the offense, where they want to do what they're best at and they're not always willing to adjust.
Right.
And it's not even like they're bad at quick passing. Like, we're still good at quick passing. It's just, it seems like we always want that home run play, and we always have some sort of outlet for that home run play. But after the first 3 drives or something of the game, why was it not apparent that we had to start reading the field from short to long instead of from long to short? Because Josh never had time. He didn't have time. They kept dialing up blitzes. So we need to look for quick answers, not best answers, because sometimes the best answer is the quick answer. So I don't know. I understand, yes, the touchdown on this play would have been great, but sometimes you just have to take what the defense gives you. And it's becoming a trend. It's always been a trend with Josh, but he is getting better at it, and he will get to it. He got better at it in the second half, but I'd like to see it just happen a little bit quicker with him and Daboll, like that discourse, before the halftime adjustments. I'd like to see them make adjustments on the fly.
Yeah. And the thing is too about this play, just one more before we move on to the next one, is right from pre-snap read, you got these 2 guys here. Look how far away he is from Beasley. And I mean, I guess you think maybe they're gonna switch, and is that Jones down there at the bottom?
Yeah, it's Byron Jones.
He hesitates just slightly, and I think maybe he thinks that he's gonna go for Beasley, but he doesn't, and you can see him. He's leaving with him now. So at this point, it's kind of just, I got to throw it anyway, maybe because he's got the guy in his face, but. Yeah. It's one of those things. It didn't, in the long run, it doesn't really hurt because they did make those adjustments in the end.
You're right.
This next play here is, again, he has no time to throw, which it was a common theme. But also, let me see if I can get back here to pre-snap. Look at all these guys at the line of scrimmage. It's just the whole goddamn team's in there. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys kind of in the box. He's outside the box, but you've got a lot of guys at the line of scrimmage with the potential to come on a blitz here. So you better expect or think there might be some pressure on this one, especially since you got one guy deep here as well. And right now the play looks fine. He's got 2 guys he can throw to right now. But because he's got no time, he kind of tries to shuffle around in the pocket. I've got the other angle where you can see him moving around in the pocket a little bit. I don't really know why he tries to move up in the pocket.
He was a little skittish in this game.
That's what I'm saying. Right here, there's absolutely no reason for him to move in the pocket, especially because here's Stephon Diggs wide open coming across the middle of the field. And also, here's Cole Beasley wide open going down the middle of the field, even deeper. Which, remember this play because we'll see something about it later. But yeah, he's skittish. First of all, how the hell does he throw the ball that far while he's falling backward?
I remember that.
That's insane. He still almost completed that. He overthrew his wide receiver while falling backward, which is impressive. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that before.
I feel like the issue to this play design itself is that Josh isn't supposed to throw it until Diggs and Beasley cross each other.
Right.
Because if he throws it to Diggs here, Beasley's guy is going to hammer Diggs. If he throws it to Beasley, Diggs's guy is going to hammer Beasley. So you kind of have to wait for them to cross. And that's kind of my issue with the play call here. When you see the box that stacked like that, just audible to some sort of quick passing option. Like the way they were lined up, I would have loved to see Beasley on a little whip route going outside, and then whoever was far closest to us, the near side of the sideline, I just want them to run a straight streak and clear this sideline. Because if Beasley runs an in to out whip route, and then I don't know if that's Gabe or
that's Gabe. Yep.
Yeah, and then Gabe just runs a streak just to clear out the area. Like,
there's that's one-on-one man coverage. Who you got? Maybe this guy who could drop back into his zone.
But there's no way he's getting to the sideline in time. That's the thing. And then if Davis is going straight on that streak on the bottom side of the field, like that corner has to respect it. So I mean, that's what I would have checked to. But obviously, like, I mean, I don't know if they have that check built in, but it's just when you see a box like this, why are you trying to get cute with it and get the deep play out of it? I understand there's a lot of deep pockets that are open because there's a blitz, but you can get those yards after the catch if you just dump it off quickly. So there's two sides of philosophy to this.
Yeah. And that's another thing that's tough. But this, like I said, remember this play, he does kind of just run off Gabe there. But we'll see a similar play later on. But yeah, I don't know where Josh thought he was going to be able to go. He tried to move up into this pocket, which
isn't there.
Yeah, that wasn't the right idea. But anyway, it happened really fast, so hard to blame him. So this play now is from the second half where adjustments have been made. And now, so this one, once again, we've got a ton of guys up here on the line of scrimmage as we're in the red zone. And the run game was ineffective. We know that the run game is ineffective. We can't really run anyone past 10 yards here because we're not going to have time to throw it to anyone that's going past 10 yards because of all the guys that are up at the line of scrimmage. We know that the pressure's coming. So what do we do instead? A quick little out route to Gabe Davis. This is a 3-yard gain, which is like, why are you showing this play? Because this is a run play.
It's the
This is the substitution for a run play because we can't run the ball. It was completely ineffective the entire game as we're trying to run the ball. So what do you do instead? Get it to a guy in his hands out in space. He's a yard behind the line of scrimmage right now, and he has the ability to go run, make someone miss. He gets 3 yards. I'm perfectly happy with a 3-yard gain on a run play on second and mid. So why not do a play like this where he's got potential to make it even bigger? Also, Isaiah McKenzie should not be blocking, but
this was probably after the Beasley injury, the rib back.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was a creative way, and they did a lot of stuff like this, and this kind of goes back to someone said earlier they were running a bunch of screen passes, and that was because they couldn't run the ball effectively because they were stacking the box. So they're stacking the box. It's like, okay, well, we're going to throw it out to the sideline then, and you guys can go out there and try to get it. And that was their form of a run play at a certain point. Was they still ran it too much after that, but they were kind of just like, we're going to get it out there and we're going to get our guys in space, and that's all we're going to do instead of running the ball.
Do you see what Silas just said and then what John responded? Because that was exactly what I was going to respond with.
Yes, yeah. Essentially, that's kind of what we were talking about too, where he wants to put that dagger in. I think John said it earlier. I like the Josh mentality. He wants to take your soul immediately, and that is kind of how he plays. Where it's like, I am gonna throw a 60-yard touchdown pass, and you're going to be so demoralized that I'm just going to kick your ass for the rest of the game. And yeah, so you're right on the money, Silas. He said he just got here. So you're on the money. That's what we've been talking about is how he was taking those deep shots too much in the first half, and he settled down a little bit. And not only that, the play calling changed. They didn't send those guys deep anymore, which I think was another thing that I can't really display through 4 plays, but they stopped sending the guys deep and they started creating more kind of pockets that they could throw to instead of trying to have those deep shot plays.
Right. 100%. Yeah. So Silas, if you want to hear our discourse on that, literally just rewind like
Yeah.
10 minutes and you'll hear all of it because we definitely leaned into it a little bit. Nice catch though by Gabe Davis. That was a really nice catch.
Yeah, the throw was also in a very, very small
It was a
window.
specific window that it had to go in, and there was only
Yeah.
one place to throw it, and Gabe came down with it. So no, it was a nice play call. Like you said, I'm happy that they changed it up because I
Yes.
wanted them to do that in the second quarter. I'll
Yeah.
take it if it happens in the third and we get the dub. But
Right.
I'd like those things to happen before halftime because sometimes one half of football isn't enough time. Sometimes you need to make those adjustments before halftime.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're playing the Dolphins, so it's like
right.
It's okay to make these mistakes early on as the offense, especially because the defense was playing lights out.
So good.
So it's okay to make these. It's okay to make these little mistakes in the first half and then adjust, as long as you do adjust. So, not my last play. I lied. I don't know if I labeled these correctly, actually. But anyway, remember that play that we saw earlier where we had a guy coming underneath in the crossers and everything like that? This is almost the same play, and we'll see it kind of from the other angle. But this time we've got the runoff man on this side, and Beasley's going underneath. Diggs is going over top, and Josh has the pressure in his face, and he throws before they cross this time. And I think it might be designed that way. It might have been, hey, on those crossing routes, you might have to throw it before they cross because you're not going to have any time to do anything else.
It looks like Diggs got more vertical on this one rather than horizontal, which allows you to throw it before they cross.
Did Beasley get more vertical on his route too? Because Diggs was the underneath guy on the last one, and Beasley was going over top. I think Beasley might have gotten a little bit more vertical, at least than Diggs did.
Yeah.
But it's a very similar cross concept. But yeah, and it's just a good. I'll wait till the end zone angle because it's a really good just anticipatory throw from Josh Allen as well. I kept the Diggs punt in there because he's better than Hawk. But yeah, it's just a very good anticipatory throw from Allen. He sees the pressure, he's looking at Diggs, and he says, "Yeah, I can hit that," and he just tosses it out there and lets Diggs go get it. So that is like adjustment 101.
Yeah, that's it.
Like we saw this play earlier in the first half, it didn't work because the pressure was there too soon, but our guys were open. Just throw the ball earlier. So
I mean, the pressure is there on this play too. I think the difference with this one is Josh actually hangs in the pocket on this one. He's not as skittish this time around. You can still see him trying to backpedal out of it, but like he's much more planted in the ground, shuffling, making that throw rather than like running into Tommy Sweeney's ass. Like it's just much better adjustment the whole way around it. Yeah, the anticipatory throw is really what makes this, though.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking is maybe it's like, well, don't be so skittish in the pocket, Josh, because you're not going to be able to get out when there's like three guys around you, which was the case a lot of the time.
Blitzing from every side.
Yeah, so at a certain point, it's like just make the throw that's there. It doesn't just if it's there, make it. If not, sure, try to dance around. But yeah, he was taking what was there, and in this case, it was a touchdown to Diggs. So no complaints. I think this was the last play. I don't think I put any more plays in here, and I just labeled it incorrectly. Maybe
you labeled it 3. Let's see.
I labeled it incorrectly. Yeah, that was the fourth play. Not
that's it then. I do want to ask you, what did you think about Sweeney in general?
I didn't take too much of a look at him. To be honest, in blocking anyway is what I'm referring to. And Pat, I think he did fine.
I think
running
he did
routes.
Fine in pass. Yeah,
running routes, he did fine. He caught a couple balls that came his way out, toward the end of the game to steal things off. I was fine with the way that he played. I was pretty impressed actually. He's not as athletic as Dawson Knox. Once he has the ball in his hands and turns upfield, it's not going to be the same thing. But he can go out there and get open and catch the ball and. So that's a good backup tight end. That's really all you need. But as far as blocking goes, I don't know. Did you take any closer look at him?
I did a little bit, not specifically like in this playback, but I noticed him a lot when I was watching live, and I wasn't even like fully watching live. So, and then that play, like I just mentioned, with the same crossers route, like that play was him. There was a Singletary run for loss that was 100% Tommy Sweeney's fault. It's just interesting for someone that was labeled as more of a blocking first tight end. He didn't look great as a blocker, but what I will say is he did a good job. He was admirable in replacing Knox. Like he is a good backup tight end, and I think he's someone we should keep on the roster, whether he's tight end 2 or tight end 3. I don't really care, but I think he's a good tight end, good backup tight end for this team. John says he's a lousy blocker. I don't know if he's a lousy blocker, but he definitely didn't do himself any favors in this game. So I'll agree with you for now. But yeah, no, I thought he was all right.
Harold Fuller, I'll trust John Fina. So I guess
that's also fair.
If John Fina says he didn't block well, he probably didn't block well. So
yeah, I mean, I noticed him a few times live. I didn't get to do a deep dive into it, but I was curious if you saw anything. So
I didn't really take a look in blocking too much. But yeah, maybe I'll have to go back and take a look a little bit closer to see. But I think he's fine as a depth guy, as
right, exactly.
Maybe a number 2, number 3 guy that you keep around. But yeah, we didn't see Cahill. Is that his name? How do you pronounce that?
I think that's
Cahill Waring.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think you got it.
Hey, he looks way too white to have a name like that. Well, thank you guys for sticking around. We had I saw some fun conversations going on in the chat because the Bills are so good that it's, we're talking about how good the team is for the most part. I think, we had a couple criticisms, but for the most part, this is a very, very good football team. And people were at one point halfway through the show, we're talking, anyway, who are we going to play in the Super Bowl? So that was kind of a fun conversation that I saw going on. And now we're talking about, I'm assuming you mean Mike White. If he's a one-hit wonder, if he's the real thing. I don't know. I didn't watch any of it. I just I didn't see any of it either because I was at the game on Sunday. It was just kind of checking the scores throughout the game, and I was like, Mike White, and then at the end of the games, I was like, Mike White. I don't know, man. The dude balled out. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. He could be one of those guys, maybe like a Taylor Heineke type of the guy where he's not amazing. He can start, maybe I think both of those guys could end up being like Ryan Fitzpatrick down the road where they're kind of like journeyman backups or bridge quarterbacks. But honestly, I have no idea because we have such a small sample size of what we even saw from Mike White. So I don't know. Anyway,
did you see that the guy who bet on Mike White $1,000 for him to be the passing leader this week? He bet $1,000, turned it into $125K. That's more than Mike White's game check.
That is hilarious. He should have bet on himself.
Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. I was
good for him for making that bet. That's like,
I know.
Everyone probably was like, why are you making that bet, dude?
Because it's so against the odds. It's a big payout, man.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, anyway, thank you guys for sticking around once again. We should probably do a NordVPN promo while we're here. We're sponsored by NordVPN. You can go to thebfvpn.com and get yourself a sweet deal on that. You can get yourself 70% off on the 2-year. That's under $4. So a really good deal for a long-term kind of lock yourself in there. NordVPN, you can protect your privacy on the internet, protect everything that you're doing, hide your IP address. And there's some fun stuff that you can do with them as well. But if you're interested in that, visit thebfvpn.com. And check out that deal for us. Other than that, I'm excited to be going down to have the Bills going down to Jacksonville, see what they can do against that struggling young team there, and maybe we'll get a few more highlights. But other than that, I think we'll see you next week on Film Session.
Yes, sir. Everyone enjoy. This is going to be hopefully a much more dominant win. Hopefully we see some adjustments if things don't happen early how we want them to happen. But I think we should all be pretty confident. This might not have been the record we thought we were going to have at this point in the season, but things are still looking up and up. So keep that confidence.
Yeah, and even still, we're a 2-loss team right now, and that's
right.
Take a look at the schedule, and maybe there's like 3 or 4 teams on the schedule that you think maybe they could compete against us. So I think they're in a great position, and it's the Josh Allen versus Josh Allen Bowl, the moment we've all been waiting for. So enjoy it, really soak that in, and other than that, go Bills.
Go Bills.